This is the installation for the XR19. First, you want to get both of your uprights. These are pre-assembled frames where you will see the nuts and bolts already in the frame. You will notice that they have two washers on one side. You want to take the bolts out, make sure it's a washer on both sides of the machines before installing it. But first, you want to locate the left and right side, and how you can tell which one is left and which is right. This one is the right side of the upright. Notice how the Smith bar catcher is on the outside of the machine. That would be the right side. Then notice the attachment at the bottom. You will see the holes, 3 holes in the front. Make sure that goes to the front of the machine, and you will see where these holes line up. So you will take those bolts out and slide them back in. So this will be your right side. This is your left side. Same thing. Make sure these holes are in the front of the machine. Make sure that plate for the bar hook is on the outside of the machine. So that's your left and your right. Start with that. Okay. Now we have the left and right upright assembled. Legs coming forward. That's your back. This is the front of the machine. Like I said, make sure this is sitting on the outside. So the next part is bringing the machine together. You'll notice on the back of the machine, you'll see these other 2 bolts up top, 2 bolts at the bottom. That's where these 2 braces will go. The one with the handles on it, that would be at top. That's your accessory holders. And then of course that one goes on the bottom. And then you will see 2 bolts up there on each side. That's going to be for your pull-up bar, which is right there. So that's our next step. Okay, now everything is in its upright position. Just don't tighten anything until you get the machine together, so this way you have room for movement. So now the 2 back braces is on, the sides and the uprights. Now these bars are the Smith bar. So this is your Smith bar. You want to attach these 2 pieces on there, and then you want to take these off and slide them into this first, and then put the unit back together, with leaving those little rubber bushings at the bottom to make sure they stay at the bottom when you go to put it back together. And the way these come apart is you will have a little opening right here, and there's a bolt right there. So you want to hold your hands on that bolt and just unscrew this post to unscrew that off of there, and pull these off. Slide them into there, and then lift it right back. You may need 2 people to do this, and lift it back into place and slide those bolts right back into place. Take note on these pieces that slide on. One of them is gonna have this little stop pin. That's gonna go on your right side, and it's gonna be upwards. It's controlling that when your Smith bar comes back, it hits that as a stop. So make sure that's on your right side. This is your bars being set up before you slide it back in. You will need 2 people to do this. So slide the bars in, and take note that same screw that you took out the top, these posts only have threads on one side. So make sure that thread part of the post is at the top, and not the bottom, otherwise you will be taking this back apart. So make sure that pin part is on the side. This side doesn't have a pin, so it will only end up on the right side. Now, when you go to put it back together, take these rubber bushings, slide it on there, and then 2 people would handle it in and go right back in that hole and tighten it right back up at the same time. Okay, this is what it would look like once you got it all together with the Smith bar. See that pin? Once you come off the Smith bar, that would be your lock to lock it up against that. Now you will put these 2 bars. This is your pulley bar. Identify upside down, right side up. On the bottom of this bar, you will see a hole, larger hole at the bottom. That would be your bottom. And then these little smaller holes, make sure this is going inside towards the machine. That's where your adjustment will go to lock into. So this is your left side. That's your right side, same thing. Make sure those holes are facing inwards. Make sure that one big circle at the bottom is at the bottom. There's not another one at the top. So that's how you identify upside down, right side up. You will slide this onto the post. Make sure this part is in the front and this is going towards the inside. You will have to back this screw out, or better yet, just take it off until you get this onto this pole and then screw it back in. So that's how that would look. These are your cable connections. So make sure those are towards the back. This is towards the front. On these poles right here, there will be a nut and bolt, a bolt going in there to tighten those on. This is the parts for doing your cables. Once you get one of the cables, they both have bare ends. So you will need these parts to start. Notice this little rubber bushing. This will go on the cable first. Then you will slide this on there. This is just a stop, so this doesn't slide up and down the cable. Then you will slide your ball on there. Then you will slide this in and put these 2 screws to lock it in, tighten that up. All right, doing a weight stack. You're gonna start off with these 2 rubber bushings at the bottom. Then you will slide these 2 poles in and then start sliding your weight plates on top. Make sure these holes are facing forward. It's easy to make a mistake and have one of these turned around if you start rushing. So make sure all of these holes are facing forward. After you get the stack in, this piece is separate from the weight stack. So you slide, once you put all the weights in, make sure they're even on each side. Then slide this piece on top. This right here swivels around. Just tighten up this bolt up against it to stop it from swiveling side to side and need to stay in this position. Then once you slide all of your weight stacks on, you will see 4 of these rubber spacers. Put these on and you'll see 4 of the bolts that go through it. Put them in and hand tighten them. Don't tighten them all the way up. What will happen if you tighten these all the way up? This pole will raise up and it will come out of the joint at the bottom and the whole weight stack will flip out. So just hand tighten them. It's just to keep these poles in position. And also spray WD-40 on these poles so you can have a smoother action with the weights going up and down. For the pulleys, as I said before, once you get this set up with the rubber bushing first, metal plate, the ball, put that piece in, tighten it up. Now to run the pulleys, the cable, run it into the middle of these two pulleys, go up on top of the machine, over top, come down through that hole, then you will come down through the other hole and go down to the weight plates. Go around this circle. On this circle, you will see a little piece right there. Make sure you run the cable and go inside. Don't let it ride on the outside of that piece, otherwise you will cause friction. It will cause friction on the cable. So go around the pulley, go inside of that one, come around on this side, make sure you bring it back outside on that side. And this will have some play in it. Leave that play and don't tighten these up, because if you tighten it up, it's gonna pinch the cables. And like I said, tighten this up so this doesn't spin around. So again, go through these pulleys, up, over, down through the holes. Make sure you're just running in a straight line. Go around this pulley, come back up. You'll see another hole, go back through that hole, go on top of this pulley, over top of that pulley, then go down, follow the wire down, and you will see two more pulleys at the bottom. Go underneath that pulley, back around this pulley, and then you will come right behind the pulley assembly. Go up into this joint here, tighten it up where you can pull all the slack out of the cable. Just tighten it up to enough where when you pull on this cable and see the weight plate just touching the stack, so you have a nice tight fill, then you will tighten these two bolts up here to keep it in that position. You will have excess cable. Once you're finished with the install, test it out by pulling on the cable and make sure everything is working, and making sure it goes all the way down, and also making sure the pin is grabbing the weight stack. If it doesn't go inside the pins, that means you have it too tight on the pulley, so you want to make sure that pin will slide in. Once that's all in, then you can go ahead and tighten up those screws on the back, and then you can get a saw or clips or whatever and just cut off the excess cable. You'll have a lot of excess cable on there for adjustments. So if your cable ever stretches over time, just loosen that up, pull on the cable to retighten the cables up. And that's your assembly. Just repeat that on the opposite side. Other stuff is the landmine. This is just a pin assembly that can slide on the left or the right side of the machine, on the outside or the inside of the machine. You just slide it in and putting your pin back in to lock it in. The leg assembly for doing bent rows, or doing rows, not bent rows, doing sit down rows. This is just a pipe that goes inside, and you will see the 3 holes on either side of the machine. So you can put this piece on the left or the right. So put this in position like this, and you just slide this pin in here to lock into whatever hole you want. These other accessories are just clip-ons. You want to make sure when you're sliding in, the pin is up. Let's see, the pin is going up top. So you want to have that pin up top. Slide it in one of these holes. And then just let it drop down. That's how all the accessories go on. You will have these other accessories. That's your Olympic spotter bar attachment. So that's what you slip in. And these are your Olympic bar holder, and that would slip in. These right here, these are your safeties for your Smith bar. They just slide in, go, and like that, and that's just a safety stop. So when you're benching alone, you set this to where you want to stop so it doesn't end up on your chest, the bar don't end up on your chest. So you can put it at different stopping points. This is your leg press attachment. It will mount to the Smith bar. This system, you will have to unscrew it and bolt it on. It's not a clip-on, so you usually leave this for leg day and mount it on and take it off when you're not using it. So when you're doing bench presses, it's not up against your chest. This part here, this is your lat pull down, knee hold down. So when you're doing lat pull downs and it's too heavy and the machine is trying to lift you back up, that's when you would need this. You don't need it if you're doing regular lats and you're not lifting more than your body weight. And how this attaches, it goes in these holes. So you would position this, you would clip these on, put it down to your knee level, put the bench underneath the machine to the level where you need this pad to rest on your knees so you don't pull yourself up. Mount that into the first hole in the front to bring it down to your knees. So when you're doing lat pull downs, this will stop your body from raising back up. Last is the stickers. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just put your numbers on. And that's your full assembly. And if I didn't mention it earlier, you will have 2 short bolts that will go in there with washers. Do not over tighten them. If you do, you'll notice that this bar will not flip back and forth easy. So if it's too stiff, just loosen up those nuts some, just to give you some play. Then they will have 2 rubber caps that go on it to hide that bolt. Then your side covers, they would only fit on one side. Just back the little screws out that's on the machine